and today we're here to talk to you about if the state of Texas should be giving high standardized tests or not. Now, how many of you have taken a standardized test before? Yeah? Okay, how many of you hate standardized testing? I know, standardized testing is awful. Now, what are standardized tests? Well, standardized testing is a test that requires all students of the same grade level to take a same question test. Now, it's multiple choice, and for instance, in the English test, if you're doing a written essay, and for example, say Justin Cockrum wrote an essay, and it was just about the tiles on the floor, and since it's graded by a computer, it's not very creative, but he had good punctuation and really good grammar, and he might get a 4 or 5 on the essay, whereas Lily Flores, she writes something so creative and wonderful, and about maybe her past or something, but she doesn't have as good punctuation or as good grammar as Justin, and she may get a lower grade than him. This is one of the many reasons as to why we may not want standardized testing in our schools.
So why does the state of Texas think that we need standardized testing? Well, the school thinks that every student should take these tests because they need to test the kids on their level of knowledge throughout the grade level. They give the students the same test throughout the whole entire school grade level. However, as schools may vary, some schools may have different type of
questions or stuff like that. Like say in a bigger school district, they might have different sorts of questions rather than a small district like Alba Golden. This could be a reason why a lot of the teachers don't agree with standardized testing in smaller schools, because the way they teach is a lot different from here and the bigger schools.
Okay, so we went around and asked teachers a couple questions about standardized testing. We asked them how they felt, what should change, and how they think it affects teachers and stuff like that. And they gave us their honest opinion. They didn't give us facts. It was just how they felt and how they think that everything should be stopped. So we first went to Mr. Maz, and he had a lot to say about high standardized testing. He thinks that we should let the school have the power to give the students a test so the teachers can get together and come up with questions for the test. And he also would be all for no standardized testing. Coach Bo says that it forces the teachers to work on a certain criteria than going deep into the subject. Like, he teaches history, so we're missing out a lot of things that he cannot mention because that isn't on the standardized test. So he would have to mention something that everyone basically knows about, but then if someone, let's say older senior citizen asked us and be like, oh, we'd be like, well, we never learned that in school. And then Miss Curry doesn't like standardized testing because she feels as if it rushes us, the kids, and it stresses us out and it stresses the teachers out. So she thinks that we would need more time to comprehend the test. And then Mr. Ellis also had a lot to say. He thinks that standardized testing is worthless, and he thinks that it has changed teaching because teachers no longer have the freedom to teach anymore. Another thing is that what you don't know is if you were here taking a standardized test here would be completely different if you took a standardized test in Dallas. And it costs multi-millions of dollars that the state of Texas is taking out of all of our education fund. So we could have a chance to pay teachers higher or get new things in class, like how we have all these Chromebooks and stuff. But things that we actually really need, like how we need basically a new gym or something, but we can't afford that because the money is all going out of our funds to go into these high standardized testing.
So we also asked the teachers how they feel about these tests and what they think we should change about these tests. Coach Smith thinks that they are okay, that there's nothing wrong, but he does think that we should change something else, that the test may be a little hard for what grade level the child is in. So they need to maybe dumb down the answers a little bit, and therefore the kid will understand more and comprehend better. Mr. Mize thinks that it should stop because it doesn't give the kid chance to learn. The teacher is teaching a certain way that the kid needs to learn, and is only not being creative enough for the kid to comprehend that. So the kid is only learning facts. The kid isn't learning more than what they should know. Mr. Ellis thinks that there's nothing they need to change. They just need to stop it completely, because it is just one test should not determine the failure or the success of one student or the school. And Ms. Wigington thinks that, as we do right now, we should just continue with end of course tests, like the semester finals and things like that. We don't need to continue with the state tests because they're unnecessary. And also, a test should not determine the kid's failure, and it also should not determine the school's failure, because the kids are graded on how well they score, but not, as Kat said earlier, on not how well they are creative.
How does a certain score on the standardized testing affect the child? Well, according to Coach Bowe, it causes a kid to only think about succeeding with passing the test. They believe they are a failure if they don't do well on the test. Kids are stressed out with these tests because there's so much pressure on them to pass these tests, and if they don't pass them, they're considered failure, like they're not going to succeed in life. They think that this thinking puts pressure on children, and if they don't pass, the children will if that means getting held back, it can be scary for a child also. That means that they're not going to be able to graduate with the people that they've grown up with because they failed a test that they were supposed to pass. They shouldn't teach children that it is as important to pass a test. It's not like studying for like the SATs, taking the ACTs, because those are going to get you into real life things like college and important things like that. In conclusion, almost everyone, all the teachers that we have questioned, think that we should just do away with standardized testing and that it's pointless and worthless and just not worth our time. Children won't have as much anxiety, they won't have as much stress, they'll have time to focus on other things, more important things like passing their classes and sports if that is important to them, and they won't have as much to worry about, so they're going to do better in high school and they're going to be able to retain more and focus more. Schools will be able to teach children the curriculum that they think that they should be taught. Teachers can't teach the children the way that they think they should be teaching because they have to worry about how the standardized tests are going to word something specifically on a test. As if slope, for example, Ms. Cochran said that slope is going to be worded in a million different ways. So if it's one thing, so if it's slope on something, she has to teach it by slope. If it's rate, she has to teach it by rate. Because the students just don't know what it's going to be on the test, and the teachers don't know either.
For example, one thing that Mr. Ma said to us, they said, why should we be teaching a student the circumference of this when we should be teaching them real life valuable lessons that they will actually have problem solving in the future? So what's the point of learning the circumference of this on a test if you should have already learned that in the middle of class? Because basically what you're doing on a standardized test is going over everything that you've already learned in the class. So if you pass the class but fail the test, then what's the point of that? You know that you can pass the class, you know this stuff, but the high standardized testing has so many high expectations for you that we just think it should be completely done with. And if they do stop standardized testing, Mr. Mize and Mr. Ellis came to an agreement that even though we won't have standardized testing anymore, we will still have exams. So if they can pass a class, then they can pass an easy exam. Thank you for